Well, it may be winding down here for day one, but things are still jumping here at the RIGS booth. This is easily one of the most popular booths here on the show floor on the first day of the PlayStation experience. As you can see behind me, the lines are stretching down both sides of the booth. We have tons of people that are waiting to get their hands on this VR for the very first time. To get inside one of these suits, you can see some of the gameplay footage up here. It is incredible. I got the chance to talk to some of the people that have actually played the game, and everyone has the same bewildered expression when they take that Morpheus helmet off, and they're just floored at how immersive this game is. If you're here, you've got to try out this game. It's incredible. Ryan is actually on the stage right now talking with some of the RIGS guys. They're going to go more in depth about what makes this VR game so very special. Take it away, Ryan.
Thank you so much, Meredith. It's great to be here. And thank you, gentlemen, for joining me. How are you guys?
Yeah, we're awesome.
Yeah, we're awesome and exhausted.
Very well.
Thank you to all you guys out on the stage, by the way, and hanging out with us still, mostly half asleep, but that's okay. We're gonna wake you up a little bit. Gareth and Alex are from, Guerrilla Cambridge. I almost forgot your studio, which would have been highly embarrassing for me. But we're here to talk about RIGS,
That's
mechanized combat, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, thank God, man. It's been a long day. It's coming to PS4, and specifically it's using PlayStation VR, which is an incredible technology, but I want to hear from you guys first and give me a little breakdown about what RIGS is all about.
So RIGS is a competitive arena-based first-person shooter, kind of infused with what we like to think of as the drama and the excitement of real sports. So we try to draw on things like basketball and American football and take the elements that really kind of make those exciting and bring those into our game.
And then bring robots in.
And giant robots.
Yeah, so
it's key ingredient.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's 50 years in the future. The game is set. So you've got the world of motorsport, the world of combat, and they've kind of collided together to make the mechanized combat league. And you, the player, take on the role of a star RIGS pilot. You get inserted into this multi-million-dollar rig. It's an athletic sporting machine. And you take it into arenas all the way around the world, and you're fighting for the championship. And it's about making the player, using the power of PlayStation VR, making the player feel like they're a sports star of the future.
There we go. There's the. I was going to be like, oh, I think we're just going to look at the logo the whole time. I'm glad we got some footage too. Now, here's a quick question for you guys. I don't know if this is important, but is the athlete and the giant robot, are they in danger at any time? Actual danger? Is this like a death sport?
No, absolutely not. So there's no real physical jeopardy for the pilots.
It's just the jeopardy of the win.
Exactly.
Victory and
That's
loss.
it.
Yeah.
So, we wanted to create something that, as in real sports, that anyone can enjoy, anyone can participate in, whether they're actually playing it or whether they're watching it. We just wanted it to be engaging for an entire audience. So it was important to us that the pilots themselves don't actually suffer any physical harm.
Perfect.
So when
they're characters.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And you kind of mentioned that as well, Alex, when we were talking backstage, is that you want to put the players in the role of that pilot because they are people, they are controlling this giant machine.
Yeah, absolutely. So the awesome thing about VR is we can immerse people in the game world as never before. So when I'm playing the game, I can look down and I'll see my hands holding the controls of the rig. And I can look around, I can lean left and right, and the pilot will lean with me because we can track the lights on the PlayStation VR headsets. So that connection between me sitting playing the game and the pilot in the game world, making that one-to-one relationship is really important, of making people feel like they're actually there. They're participating in this sport, they're running around, piloting this rig and taking part in these dramatic, intense sports matches.
Absolutely. Now, for those that are watching at home, and forgive me, we discussed this also. I have not played RIGS yet. It's top of my list.
You're going to have to come tomorrow.
I know, but with that said, walk through people like how the controls work. Like if someone's watching at home, help them get into that PlayStation VR headset and like how are they controlling this machine?
Absolutely. So the control system, I think, is paramount to the experience.
Absolutely, yeah.
So one of the things it fundamentally does is it facilitates kind of anybody to pick up and play. Now that doesn't mean that it's a shallow experience, but it means that it's not reliant totally on people with pad skill. So I know a lot of my friends are like, I don't really want to play competitive shooters because I just get owned all the time because I just can't aim quick enough. Now with our control system, you're basically using the VR itself to aim. So you can aim much, much faster and much, much more accurately than you would with a pad.
Okay.
So the accessibility for a wider audience is really, really there.
I think that accessibility is really key, because we found that people who've played the game, the reaction has been amazing. And there's been people who aren't first-person shooter fans who've played it, but found it so intuitive and natural to use that they've been really evangelizing about the game, and that people's connection with it and how natural it feels. Yeah, I was saying it's got that pick up and play feel.
Absolutely, but it's not dumbed down by any means. I think we're still providing a game with a lot of depth, especially tactically. So it's less about pad skill, more about positioning, more about your strategies, how you're using your power modes. Are you playing a defensive role? How is your team operating together?
Yeah. Now, is movement then designated to controller, and then so you're aiming with the motion? I mean, walk me through that element.
That's right. So the left analog stick is basically controlling as it would in a traditional FPS. Forward, backwards, left, and right.
Perfect.
The control scheme that we're using at the moment in this demo is that when you use the right stick to turn left and right, but then all your aiming is done basically with your face.
I see.
So you look at what you want to shoot.
With your face.
With your face, yeah. And like we said, as Al said, the response has been amazing. People are sometimes quite cynical, and then when they've had a session, they just come away and they're like, man,
you have to try it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We've had people who we used to work with who've come back to visit the studio to have a play on it, and yeah, they are a bit skeptical, and they put the headset on, and they'll play the game, and then they'll take the headset off, and they'll just go, it's legit. And the hype is real. People have such an incredible experience. You have to try it to see the magic that's there. It's a really powerful experience.
Yeah, we had several guys today, and they were like, didn't seem that excited when they were in the queue, and they kind of got there, and when they took the headset off, they were like, man, I thought this was going to be a gimmick. But it's not. This is the real deal. This is something else.
That's the quintessential problem with VR is you have to try it, understand it, and that's something we've reiterated to people before, and it just RIGS is a great example of something where you just as you said, it all makes sense right away. But I do want to get back to the world because we were talking about that before, and one thing, Alex, that you mentioned that I really liked was that you said it's a very positive environment, which is nice.
Yeah,
it's a positive sport.
I think it's 50 years in the future, and it was important for us that we showed quite a positive, colourful, clean, vibrant version of the future. Part of that is
no zombies, as you said.
There's no zombies.
No military.
Touch wood. There's no wood. But we want a world that the player wants to come back to, and they enjoy being immersed into it. They're taking a part in these matches, these dynamic sporting matches, and we want when they put the headset on, and the screen is so amazing in the hardware that we can really have a vibrant environment that they really want to take part in and be drawn back to. And the great thing about the RIGS arenas, so these are custom built for epic RIGS matches. So rather than your traditional sporting arenas where you'll have the crowd in the periphery sitting in the grandstand, we've been able to, you can see it on the footage that's playing, we've actually been able to take the viewing galleries and have the crowd embedded in the play structures. So rather than just being the grandstand, as you're running and playing the match, you'll be able to see the crowd banging on the windows and screaming at you. So the relationship of the crowd and the sportsman was something we really wanted to reinforce and make the most of. Give the player that feedback of being in a sports match.
And also, I think rather than a traditional FPS where if you want to do kind of objective-based modes, you almost have to have an abstract layer where you've got a goal or a flag or something. With RIGS, it's like everything's built into the arena. The goals are part of the arena. For this Power Slam, you can see the goal right there. It's integral to the actual design of the arena. So these aren't things that we're just layering in. They're absolutely fundamental to the way that we've designed those arenas.
Yeah, now one thing I've noticed, fatal flaw of my interviewing skills, that we didn't even talk about how the actual match is set up. Is RIGS a death match style thing? Is it like you were saying, scoring goals? To walk us through the actual strategy of a standard match.
So the match type that we're showing here this week is called Power Slam. And the idea is that it's kind of like a slight mashup between basketball, which has quite a heavy influence on it, and FPS team deathmatch play. But it kind of works in two phases. So the way that you score a point for your team is by physically jumping through the goal hoop in the middle of the map. But you can only do that when you're in overdrive, and you get into overdrive by taking down your opponents. So it kind of works in two phases. You know, you're hunting down opponents, you're picking up power speeds, you're taking them down, you're building up to your overdrive meter, you're into overdrive, and then it's the mad push for goal. And obviously your opponents can see you in an overdrive, see a guy doing it there, and yeah, they've got to try and bash you away and defend, you know, with their melees or with their force weapons that can actually use physics to push you away from the goal. So like I say, there's quite a lot of, I think, a lot of depth to the game modes, even though the rules are quite simple. Yeah.
It has the dynamism of the sports match, that kind of the two sides where I can be attacking and then I can be defending. And going into overdrive, it's almost like you become the ball, and then it's like I have to get myself to the goal and slam through it.
You literally are the basketball. You're dunking yourself.
And it's weird, it's like, it just feels so satisfying when you actually make that goal and you feel yourself go through and then you get the fireworks come up. You know, we haven't got any of that kind of military baggage. It is all a celebration of the rules of sport. Yes,
I think it's one of the key things we want to take from the world of sport is those dynamic and tense moments of sport. So being the underdog, taking on the champions, staging a comeback, getting the win at the last minute. And we're finding that as people take part in these matches, those things organically are happening, which is amazing. It's amazing to see people reacting to the game in such a way. You've got people cussing quite badly, some foul language.
No, this is a positive place. There's no cussing. And so I just got to know. You guys are working on this game. You're designing it. Were you two standing at a water cooler, maybe having tea or whatever you guys drink at the office, and you're like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if you were the basketball? And you just like dunked yourself? I mean, who came up with that idea?
Well, what, for the mode or for the game generally?
No, for this mode, yeah. Come on, the giant robot slam dunk. I gotta know.
It all seemed very sensible at the time.
Yeah.
Like in retrospect, this is a terrible decision.
But one thing I would say about the RIGS has been built from the ground up for PlayStation VR. So the core setup of the game is I'm a pilot, and the pilot stays relatively static as the player is in the game world. And it's the rig that I'm piloting that's moving me around the game environment in quite a daring and dynamic way. And so it allows us the base concept of the game to have that relationship between the player and the pilot, but still allow them to do really exciting things without shattering that illusion.
So you can feel athletic while you're just sat in your armchair, basically.
Yes. I can finally feel athletic. Do you guys, before we wrap up, do you guys want to talk about weapon design at all and kind of how you balance that out with the various game modes? Because I don't know if these two weapons are the primaries that you get, if you have others available, or you're just not talking about those right now.
Yeah, sure. So each of our rigs, we kind of view them as alongside the pilots as superstars in their own right. So rather than going for the approach of, yeah, you can customize everything and have it exactly what. It's like, no, you buy the rig, and the rig chassis is kind of a star.
Right.
So it's already predefined what it is, and it's like that rig is tailored for that role. So the weapons that are equipped on each one, and we're being very careful about how we arrange them on the left and right-hand side. So you'll see some of the weapons look quite traditional, where other ones we're definitely playing around with physics quite a lot and impulses. So we found like our shotgun variant, which we call the pulse cannon. You know, if someone's
Much
going
cooler
for goal,
name.
yeah, exactly.
Pulse cannon, way better than shotgun. And shotgun's great.
You can basically, wait for them to come up towards goal and then hit them with this thing, and it's forcing them back. It's not just doing damage. So the physicality of the weapons is really important to us.
Awesome.
And from a visual point of view, these weapons are about 2 meters long. And so when you're sitting in the rig cockpit, you can peer out of your cockpit left and right and examine the weapons and the workings of them really, really close up. And so with the design of the rigs, the visual design, we've had to make sure, because the player in VR has so much freedom, we have to make sure that all the different parts of the rigs are all mechanically sound and valid. So there's the guys have been working really hard to make sure that when you look at everything, it really holds up well, and that reality is maintained.
Holds up to intense VR scrutiny
at
any time. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much. Did we have any other, did you guys want to talk, last message for the fans?
Yeah, just wanted to say thank you for the response today. It's been absolutely amazing. I know a lot of people queued for a very long time to get a play today, and I really appreciate it. And I hope the experience that they had really was measured up to their expectation. Saw a lot of happy faces, so I'm happy.
Perfect.
Ditto.
Easy.
Well, we really look forward to sharing more of the game, and we're really super excited by everyone's feedback and reactions. And we're all working really hard at the studio to deliver a fully featured first-person shooter game exclusively with PlayStation VR.
Perfect. Gentlemen, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you, everyone, for listening here in the audience and for listening at home. That was RIGS Mechanized Combat for PlayStation VR.
PlayStation